With Spring AI, you can connect your AI, your large language model, to the backend and its functionalities. And in this way, it can do really smart things like automating processes and decide based on text or chat input which backend functionalities to call and to really do the right things in the backend processes. For example, in my video here, I explained the application we built and how it decides whether to send an email or not based on the chat conversation it has with the current user. Today I will show you how to build this with Spring AI and how to connect the large language model to the backend functionalities which are offered in your Spring Boot application. My name is Elmar Brauch. I'm software developer and architect in Deutsche Telekom. This is my channel Agile Coding, and if you enjoy the content, please give me a thumb up and subscribe to the channel. Let's now dig deeper in the code and switch to the IDE. It is again the same code base which I showed you in my previous video. You'll find it here. There we did the basic steps of setting up a RAG chatbot, and this time we connected to existing backend functionalities. So I'm still using Spring Boot in the version 3.3.4, and I'm using Spring AI here, the Spring AI Azure OpenAI Spring Boot starter dependency in the version 1.0.0 milestone 3. So what kind of backend functionality do we have? Here I prepared some connection check service. It's just a demo. It could be any other backend functionality which is running as a Spring Bean, and in Spring application that is most of our functionality. This one is checking if the user if it's possible to get at the user's location the faked internet connection of saltwater lines. That is something I made up to show how the RAG is working and what I used in my previous demonstration. So I continue here by having this connection check service, and it has two methods. We can check if the saltwater connection is available at a given city name. Therefore, here we have an address object which has the city name and the zip code and maybe other things, but here in this demo I just care about those two things. So in this functionality I check whether it's available for a given name, and the name is here just hard-coded. If it's one of those four names, then the answer is yes, and in case it's not available, the answer is no. I built here this string saltwater connection to is available, true or false. So, and the same here for this check saltwater connection with postal code or zip code. We take it from the address and we just check if it is exactly this number or not. If it's anything else, the answer is negative. But that is just demo for backend functionality. You might have anything else, and there is really nothing special about it. Let's look now into the chat service. As mentioned before, it's the same as in my previous video, slightly different to the new milestone release, but the structure is still the same. We have a chat message to start the chat conversation. We get a usage message coming from the user, we wrap it into a user message, and then we build a prompt with this. The magic happens in the prompt, so I will go into this in a second. And after we have the prompt, we just use our chat client to send a prompt to the large language model, and then we get a response and give this back to the user. So what's now new in the prompt? The prompt is still building a context message based on the previous messages of the user and based on our system message, which is built with the system prompt here below, but that is still the same as before. The new thing is here the chat options, and in the chat options I put the AI functions, and that are the tools I will give to the large language model, so that the large language model can use those tools to interact with our backend functionalities. And that is concretely the connection check service which I showed before. So let's look how this build options works. It's a simple builder. It's an Azure OpenAI chat options builder. Yeah, I'm using the Azure model, so that's why I'm using here the Azure OpenAI chat options. I use a builder, and then I just define two functions by name. Yeah, that is some name which is then checked. Is there a Spring Bean which has exactly this name, and then it fits together. But here we just define the name. So how do we get these Spring Beans? Yeah, we get it by a real simple Spring Boot configuration, a class where we actually define those two functions. So let's have a look at this. I called it here AI function config. It's a simple Spring Boot configuration file where you define beans. Yeah, again, nothing special here. And then what is a function? What is a function bean? Actually, it's a plain old Java 8 function interface implementation. So we have as input the address, and the output is the string, which is explaining whether whether the saltwater connection is available or not. Yeah, it fits exactly here to those two methods and to this output here. And the input is, as you can see here, the address. So what do I do here? I just define that we use the connection check service bean, this one, yeah, and we use those two functions here. And beside this, we have also a description explaining what this is doing. The description is also a regular Spring annotation, but Spring AI is using it so that it tells the large language model what this function here actually does. And this one is checking the availability of internet connection for a given city name, and the other one is checking it for a given postal code. Yeah, it's really as easy as shown here. And what's left to do is like a demonstration. I will start the application now. How can we test whether it's working properly or not? We can check this based on the output we get from the large language model and the response to our chat message. And we will check the logs because here in both backend functionalities, I'm logging that those have been called. And if the AI is able to properly call these methods here, then we will see exactly these log entries, and we will know that we have a smart AI which decides based on user input which function here to call and how to deal with the output. Yeah? So the application has started, and I will switch now to Postman for a demonstration. So here is my application. It's sending a post request to localhost 8080 chat, and it says, my company is in a town called Niederramstadt. That's one of the cities which has a fancy saltwater connection. And I ask which internet connection is possible. I tell it, please answer in English. Yeah, the system message and the data is in German language. So that's why we get sometimes German response, but I hope it will work in this demo. And we see here in Niederramstadt, saltwater connection is available. So that's a good thing. Second demo, my zip code is 64367. That was this magic hard-coded number in the backend functionality, which bandwidth is available. And again, the expected result is that saltwater connection is available. Here it's talking about the 1 million megabit per second, which is only possible with the innovative saltwater connection. So let's check now the logs. Here we see the log messages which we received. And here I had the first incoming chat message. My company is in town Niederramstadt. AI detected that in this case, it can use the backend functionality to check it by town name. And that is exactly what we see here. Yeah? Checking connection to city Niederramstadt. So the backend functionality was called, and the same for the message with the zip code. Yeah, here we have also checking postal code. So again, the AI was able on its own to decide whether to call the backend or not. I will give you 2 more examples. Again, we are in Postman, and here I have prepared a strange message. I say just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Berlin, what's up? Based on the system message, it knows that it is about internet connection, so that's why we will get an answer about the internet connection. Let's see. And here we see now in postal code area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Berlin, salt water connections are not available. And that is something it figured out based on the function call to the backend functionality. We will see this in the logs in a second, but one more proof that it's now not always calling the functions. Here I just say, my name is Elmar, and then I get back the hi, how can I help you in German language. So let's check the logs for those 2. Here we have the logs. We have the incoming message 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Berlin, what's up? We see that the postal code was checked for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get the negative response. We have another input message, hi, my name is Elmar. And we see here the connection check service is called only once. It's not called again. So we have now a smart AI which is able to decide based on the user input whether the tools, the backend functionalities connected with Spring AI to the large language model are useful or not. And based on that, it decides to use it or not. So that was the second part of my presentation. If you are interested in the first part, please check the video linked here. And if you are interested in more content coming in the future, please subscribe to the channel. See you next time.